The isolated cabin in the woods was supposed to be a place of refuge. But as the shadows danced on the walls and the ancient runes on the floor glowed with a sinister light, she knew she had made a grave mistake. The journal was not fiction, and the monster she had unleashed was real. She could feel his presence behind her. The thick and putrid breaths of his decaying body filled her nostrils, his inhuman voice echoing through her mind. She was not prepared for a battle of this magnitude, a demon of this magnitude. It was too dangerous. She had to get away. No! The monster hissed as he rushed the door, reaching for her. No! She screamed as she ran out the door and into the darkness. She knew that she was being followed and that she would not escape unscathed. She would pay this terrible tribute to the ancient gods. She did not see the large gray wolf until it pounced, nor could she have seen the one that stood behind it. It was not a wolf, it was a shapeshifter. The first thing she noticed was the heavy snowfall, and the wolf was struggling to move through a drift. Its paws kicked up the snow, leaving a trail behind. She watched the wolf panting heavily. Without a word, she turned on her heels and began to run. 2 more shapeshifters were following her. She could not escape them, but they couldn't get a good shot at her. She was armed, and they were not. She was going to have to use the gun, and the ammunition was limited to what she had with her. The wolf kept up, but it couldn't keep the pace she had set for long. She had to concentrate on keeping ahead of them. They were almost upon her. Then she had to slow down. She heard the first one whine in pain as it hit the tree. She saw the red dye spout from the wolf's mouth as it bit the creature. She turned to see what she thought was another wolf, but it was a man holding his stomach. She was too tired to continue now, but she would not give up. She still had a few rounds left. The wolf snarled at her until she fired a round directly into his chest. The monsters were close now. She could hear them. She pulled the trigger again, but then she saw him. "Dad!" she screamed. Turning, she dropped the rifle and ran to him, but he was up. "Nick!" she cried. "Dad!" She hugged her father. More gunfire riddled the trees behind them. From the corner of her eye, she saw them. They had surrounded her father. They were going to kill him. She had to save him. He was her savior. She turned and fired. Her father did the same. Nick staggered back, blood gushing from his chest. The wolves were all around him now. He fell to the ground, weaker than she could have ever imagined. Behind him, she saw them all lying dead. But there was one still standing. She was scared. She could not shoot. Her father was going to die. He struggled to get to his feet. She couldn't move. The wolf walked towards them. Her father said nothing. "I love you, Dad." He said nothing. She could see the tears streaming down his face. "I did it, Dad." She couldn't see his face anymore.